Thank you for joining Agent Training. My name is Christine. I am a trainer at Lone Wolf. I will be going over a new feature for your office called Wolf Connect. Wolf Connect is a way of staying connected with your office and also managing your listings and transactions. At some point, you will receive a welcome email to log into this program. The welcome email should look something like this. In this welcome email, you are going to find your given username to log into the program, and then also a link to create your credentials like your password. When you select the link, you are going to be brought to the login page for the program. This is a web-based program, so you are able to access it anywhere you have internet. At the top here, you can see we have the URL to this program. What I suggest you do is save it as a desktop item or copy and paste it and perhaps save it as a favorites item so you have quick access to the program. When you're logging in, you are going to be entering in your username and the password you created. You have the ability to select the Remember Me button, so the next time that you log in, all you'll need to enter in is your password. If you've lost your password or if you need your password reset, we do have these links down below. To run Wolf Connect successfully, we do have a few requirements listed here. I'm going to go ahead and log into the program. If we can, bear with me a second. All right, back on track. Let's go ahead and get logged in now. When you log in, you're going to be prompted with this pop-up. With this pop-up, you are going to be able to manually toggle your whereabouts as to being in or out of the office. This will allow others to see your status. In this area, you will also be able to write a note that everyone else in the office will be able to see. Perhaps you're going to be out of the office from 1 to 4. You're able to put this note so others can see. You do have some additional notes as well. If you drop down detailed notes, you can add detailed notes. You could put something like, we'll be in the office Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 this week. And then once you save, then you're going to be brought to your home page. When you log into your home page, it is populated by these widgets I'm circling around. These are feeds of information from different areas of the program. It's also populated by this rotating display board. This rotates through various items. Over to the left-hand side, we have the personal panel. This is a means of managing your listings and anything that you have to do in the office. You also have the navigation menu. It is populated by numerous tabs and then some additional functions over to the right-hand side. We'll take a look at the widgets first. So again, these widgets, they are populated by feeds of information from different areas of the program. If we take a look at your listings here, if you have any listings that are feeding in from the MLS or that you have manually entered in, you're going to be able to see them here. When we get deeper into training, we're going to be able to take a look at other areas like user links. You're going to be able to create your own links to populate in this particular widget, and you can just see the other options here, and we'll see them populate as we go through training. You are able to create your own home page if you would like. Perhaps you only want to see your listings on your home page. What you're able to do is double-click on the cog above the Office tab to the right-hand side. This is going to put you into Manage mode. When you're in Manage mode, you can see you have this plus sign here below the Office tab. Here, you can create a tab. Perhaps you wanted to call it Fake Agents tab. Now you can create your own home page. If you want to add widgets to your home page, you can do that by toggling down to the Add Widget button at the bottom, and you can add your widgets. And that's simply done just by dragging the widgets straight up. So perhaps you want to see office news, and you just want to see new company listings. Then you can close out of the widgets and now that's how your home page will be configured. You are then able to toggle through the office's home page and your own home page. Once that is set, then you can take yourself out of manage mode just by double-clicking on the cog above the Office tab. Above the widgets, we have this rotating display board. This is going to rotate through various items like featured listings in the office, special days like birthdays and anniversaries for other agents and staff members in the office, and also things like open houses. Over to the left-hand side, we'll take a look at your personal panel, and this is configured by each user. The bottom portion of your personal panel houses your pinnable items. So these are areas of Wolf Connect that you access frequently. So perhaps an area of Wolf Connect that you go into is perhaps maybe listing reports. You're able to drag that function over to your personal panel, and now you have quick access to that area of Wolf Connect. If there's an item that you don't access frequently, then you can take it out of your personal panel by selecting it and dragging it straight up and putting it into your trash can. Above the pinnable items, we have something called WIGO. WIGO stands for what is going on. I'm going to select it. And in WIGO, you're able to create a to-do list for yourself of things you may have to do in the office or maybe things you have to do in your personal life. In here, you're able to configure settings so you receive notifications about these items that you've inputted. You can also go into the settings and also configure it so you receive notifications about other items that you have to do within Wolf Connect, like listings expiring, deals closing, or maybe you have a commission check ready. And we'll take a look at those options. First, we'll take a look at how to manually enter in something that you have to do, whether, again, if it has to do with the office or maybe in your own personal life. And that's just done with this green Add WIGO button. So I'm going to select it. And here I'm going to input what I have to do. Perhaps you need to pick up staples. You can just enter in pick up staples. You can put a description, and then you can say when it's due. I'll say that I need to pick it up by Thursday. And then I can save that. And now it's an item that I have to do. You can mark it as complete once you pick them up, like so. But if you didn't and it goes past the due date, it will show up in red. And if you've configured the settings, you can also receive notifications about the items that you have to do. And we'll take a look at that now. So if we go up to the wrench here, this is where you can configure the settings to receive notifications. The first item that we have in the list is Checklist WIGO. If I select it, this is where I can decide if I want to receive reminders about those items that I manually inputted. So if I select the box there, send me a reminder perhaps 2 days before that item is due, and we can save that. The next item we have in the list is registered events. We'll be taking a look at registered events later on in this session, but your administrator is able to create events for the office that you can attend. If you have registered for any one of these events, you can show the event in WIGO as an item that's coming up. You can receive a reminder about any registered events. You can decide perhaps 2 days before, and then you can decide how long is it going to display in a list for, and then save. We also have unread messages. So in Wolf Connect, you are able to message out to one another internally through the program. If you have any messages that have been sent to you that are perhaps unread, you can configure the settings to show those unread messages in WIGO and save. Wolf Connect also will assign leads. So if you have any leads that have been sent to you in WIGO, you can show any unaccepted leads. With your CRM, you are able to store client contacts like buyers and sellers. In their profiles, you are able to create follow-ups. If you have any follow-ups with any of your buyers or sellers, then you're able to configure settings to show the follow-up in WIGO. You can also receive reminders about any of the follow-ups and decide how long is it going to display in the list for, and save. If you have any listings that are feeding in from the board, or perhaps you have manually entered in because they're a private or exclusive listing, you can configure the settings to show any listings that may be expiring in WIGO, receive reminders about those listings expiring, and also decide how long they're going to display in the list for. If you have any open houses up and coming for any one of your listings, whether it's an open house that's feeding in from the board or you have manually entered in an open house, you can configure the settings to show the open houses that are up and coming in WIGO, receive reminders about the open houses that are up and coming, and also decide how long is it going to display in the list for. Conditions lapsing. If you have any conditions lapsing on any one of your deals in the office, you can show those conditions in WIGO and also receive reminders. Any upcoming closings that you may have, again, you are able to show those closings in WIGO. You can decide if you want to receive reminders and then decide how long is it going to display in a list for. And then lastly, commission checks. When there is a commission check ready for you, you can configure the settings to show it in WIGO. You can also have a reminder sent to you and then also decide how long is it going to display in a list for and save. If we close out of the settings, you can see that on the main page of WIGO, we are now able to toggle through the various items that you may have to do in the office. To leave WIGO, you can select the arrow off the page. Back to the personal panel, we can take a look at the calendar. This is an internal calendar, however, it can be integrated with Outlook. We'll take a look at the calendar first, and then we can take a look at the integration. So if we go into calendar, when we're in here, you are able to create your own individual calendar. And when you're creating calendars, you can decide if you want to keep it private, so items will only appear on your calendar, or you can decide you want to share your calendars with other users in the office. Administrators have access to corporate calendars, so they can display items on everyone's calendar. So I'll show you how to create your own individual calendar. First, you'll need to create your folders, and that's done by selecting the plus sign beside individual calendars. A folder may be called something like training. So you'll name your folder, and then you'll decide the color that those items will appear as on the calendar. Perhaps they'll appear as green. You can decide if you want to keep this calendar private, or perhaps you want to share it, and then you can decide which roles are you going to share it with. So we're going to decide to share this with everyone in the office. To ensure that any items appear on their calendar, you want to turn that folder on just by selecting the box. So perhaps you have training up and coming. You can put that on your calendar by selecting the green Add Calendar item. And we will call this Agent Training. You can give a description, and then you can decide on the time. So we'll say that it is today, and perhaps it's at 10 until 11. Then you can decide the calendar it's going to fall under, and it's going to go into our training calendar. And then you can decide if you want to keep it shared with everyone in the office, or if you want to keep this particular item private, and then we can save. And there you'll be able to view it on your calendar, and this will also be viewed on others' calendars. If you hover over that item, you're going to be able to see the details. You can also double click it so that you can edit. If anyone else in the office has shared any one of their calendars with you, you'll be able to select the plus sign beside shared calendars, and you'll be able to see a list of any calendars that are being shared with you. So it looks like here Benny is sharing a training calendar. We can turn it on and save, and any items will appear on our calendar. You have the ability to toggle through and view calendars by month, week, and by today's date. You can also toggle through the various months. You are able to print the calendar, and you are also able to send the calendar to anyone in the office. And we'll take a look at that feature a little bit later on in Agent Training. To get out of the calendar, you'll just click off the page. So I mentioned you are able to integrate this calendar with your Outlook calendar, and that's just done by selecting the settings cog in the calendar option here. So to integrate, we do have these as instructions here. To get your unique ID, you would just do that by selecting the Add Entry and then follow the instructions. Back to the personal panel, we can take a look at the in and out board. you were able to see the in and out board when we initially logged in, but you are able to toggle yourself out and in. This does not follow you as you log in or out of the office or in and out of the program. You do need to toggle that manually. If you go into the settings cog beside the in and out, you're able to put your status. At the very top of your personal panel, we have a large settings cog. If we select it, that is going to take you into your own profile. So we'll take a look at the profile. So when we are in your profile, in the Profile tab, we can see all the information that is displayed. We'll select the Edit button, and you can see any information that you're able to edit. If you'd like, you can upload a photo to personalize your profile. If we scroll down, you can see information to personalize your profile. You can enter in things like the languages that you may speak, perhaps a previous occupation, and you can also put a personal summary. Toggling down to the next tab in your profile, we have the Key Contacts tab. In the Key Contacts tab, it's going to list off who is in charge of these areas. If you have an assistant, perhaps you want to enter in your assistant's name. Otherwise, it's going to be defaulted with your name. If you do need to edit the changes, you're able to do that by selecting the Edit button. If you have an assistant here, I can select my assistant by deselecting the Use General and then find the assistant in the list here. Back over to the left-hand side, I'm going to toggle down to the Specialties tab. Coming into the Specialties tab, you are able to customize your profile. If we select Edit, you're able to add things like specialties, any hobbies, and also civic activities. The next tab that we have in a profile is the Messaging tab. This is a pretty important tab. In here, you are able to decide which notifications are you going to receive from Wolf Connect. It's defaulted to go to the primary email address on your profile. Let's just take a look at how this is set up here. So if I select either one of these icons, I'm going to be able to see the email address it's going to, and it's formatted here to receive any of my messages in plain text. I'm able to change that so I can receive my notifications in simple HTML or at least full HTML. I do suggest selecting it as full HTML so if there are any photos, if there's any links in the notification, you're going to be able to view it. You also have the option to pause your messages. Perhaps you're going to be out of the office for a period of time and you don't want to receive the notifications in that time. You can pause your messages and then you can select the date range that you do not want to receive the messages and then you can save. Once that is formatted, you can decide what notifications from Wolf Connect am I going to receive. So you can toggle all of your messages on or you can select them individually. So the first items that we have are messaging. So we do have a communications module where you're able to message out to one another. If anyone has messaged you and you want to receive a notification that someone has messaged you, you can turn these messages on. If you have configured your WIGO, then you can turn your WIGO reminders on. These are all the notifications that you could possibly receive for showings. These notifications will make a little bit more sense once we go through the showings module, but you could turn them on or keep them off. Moving down, we also have leads. So you are able to receive leads through Wolf Connect. So you can see here, you can turn lead notifications on. I'm going to skip over the customer messages, but if we take a look at event reminders, if you have an event that's up and coming, then you can turn those notifications on. Next one we'll take a look at is transactions. So if you have any transactions or if you have any closing transactions, you can receive reminders about those. And then also loading docs. For more information about loading docs, you'll want to contact your administrator. Once we have toggled them on or off, we can go ahead and we can apply those settings. If you would like your notifications to go to an alternate address, we can do that by selecting the Add button, and you can have your notifications go to an alternate email address, or you can also select the text address. If you select text, you're going to enter in your phone number, You're going to select your provider. You can see you have the ability to pause your messages at any time. Once we save that, then you can decide which notifications are going to go to that address. Perhaps you want to forward your messages to maybe an assistant, or maybe you're going away, you're not going to be in the office, and you want someone else to receive your notifications in that time frame. You're able to forward your messages, and that's done with the forward button. And once you've selected that, then you can add the address it's going to be forwarded to. You can select an address within Wolf Connect, or you can add your own address. Let's select someone in the office and continue. We can decide in the list who will receive the notification and for what time frame. Moving back over to the tabs on the left-hand side of your profile, we have the Showings tab. In here, you're able to decide if you want feedback reminders to go out to showing agents. And if so, then you can decide how many feedback reminders will go out in a day. You can customize this notification by entering in the text below. The next tab we have in your profile is the Education tab. Here you're able to customize your profile by entering things like designations, education, and here you'll see your license information displayed. The Transactions tab in your profile, if you have any transactions, you're going to be able to see a list of any of them here. You can filter through them by status, conditions, and also by date range. Let's go back to our home page, and we're going to go up to the navigation menu. So again, the navigation menu is at the very top of your home page, and it's populated by these tabs: Real Estate, Communications, Membership, Contact Management, Resources, and Websites. For more information about websites, please talk to your administrator. We're going to make our way backwards, and we're going to take a look at the Resources tab. And then in Resources, we have Files, and we also have the Business Directory. We'll take a look at Files first. So if I select Files, here you'll be able to view and upload and print off any files that are available to you. So if you have any user files, you'll be able to find them under this folder here. There are other files if we drop down the company files. And perhaps you want to view any documents available to agents. Here you will find them. If you would like to view those documents, you can select them and you can download them. You can also just double click on them and you'll be able to view the document. There it is. When you select any one of the documents in the file, you're able to get the file's URL by selecting the Get URL. And you're also able to search for files here if you can't seem to find it under a folder. Perhaps I wanted to search for a keyword, perhaps blue. If I select search, it's going to show you all of the files that have that word in it, and then you're going to be able to view them from here. Back up to the Resources tab, we also have the Business Directory. The Business Directory is like an online Rolodex. Let's go into it. Here you're going to find a page full of preferred vendors and business contacts. You are able to contribute to this area by selecting the Add Entry button over to the right-hand side. Here you can start populating the information starting in the grayed out area. You can select the category that this business or vendor falls under. Perhaps it's a mortgage broker. We'll select mortgage broker, put them into the selected users box and assign. You can decide if you want to make them a preferred contact, and if you do that, you're going to be able to see their information right front and center in the business directory. Otherwise, they're just going to show up in a category list, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Then you can just start displaying their information and just take note to the areas marked with an asterisk. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in the company name. and you can see all the information that you're able to populate, so like address and area of service. If you enter in area of service, any information inputted here, like New Jersey or whatever it may be, you're going to be able to search for on the main landing. Down below, we have things like internet, so email address and website, phone numbers, and then you also have a description. What you may want to do is perhaps visit their website and copy a description they have about themselves so that you can customize their profile and save. You can then toggle through the various tabs in its profile. So if we come down to the Contacts tab, you're able to add specific contacts at that business. And that's done by selecting the Add Entry button, and you can populate all of that information here and save. The next tab we have is the Ratings tab, and here you're able to add ratings, and that's done by selecting Add Entry. You can rate this vendor or business contact, and then put the reason why you're rating them that. And then save. If you would like to add a logo to customize this vendor or business contact's profile, you can do that by selecting Upload Add, and you can upload their logo or a photo from your computer. If we go back into the business directory by going into business directory and manage, we're now going to see our fake mortgage broker over into the category list. If I revisit it by dropping down mortgage broker and selecting fake mortgage broker, I can go back up to the company information and I can select them as preferred and save. And if I go back into the main landing, I'm going to be able to see them right front and center here. And I can view their profile by selecting View Contact, and I can revisit and add any additional ratings. Eventually, this page will be populated with a lot more business contacts and vendors. You're going to be able to use the keyword filter to search by keyword in the profile and also search by areas that they service. Back up to the navigation menu, we will toggle over to the Contact Management tab. In here, we have the Leads module, the Contact module, and the Marketing module. Let's take a look at the Leads first. You will be assigned leads by the administrators in the office. You can receive that as a notification if you have configured the settings in your profile, or you can view any one of your assigned leads within Wolf Connect by navigating over to the Manage Leads function. If I select Manage, I'm going to be able to see any assigned leads, and I'm going to be able to accept them. Bear with me one moment here. All right, back on track. As an administrator, I logged in and I assigned a lead to this fake agent. So if we revisit Contact Management and we go into the Leads module, I received a notification as fake agent that I was assigned the lead. I can manage and accept or decline that lead by going into the Manage Leads option. If I select Manage, I am able to see the lead that has been assigned, and I can decide if I want to accept the lead or decline the lead. I'm going to go ahead and accept fake client as a client. If you had configured notifications to receive notifications via email or receive notifications via phone, when it comes to leads, you would have been able to also accept that lead from that notification. But if you don't have it configured that way, again, you're able to use the Manage Leads area within Wolf Connect and accept it from here. When you have accepted a lead, they then become a client contact, and client contacts are found under the Contacts module. So let's go ahead and take a look at client contacts. Here I'm going to be able to view a database of all of my client contacts. Client contacts are stored here by accepting leads, and then also by importing or manually entering in leads. We can take a look at importing, and that's done by selecting the Import button. To view instructions on how to import your contacts here, that's done by selecting the Print button, and you can see how that would be formatted on an Excel spreadsheet. Once that's formatted, then you can go and you can import it, and that's just done by uploading it from your computer and then importing. And then all of your client contacts will go into this area. If you store any client contacts here, like buyers and sellers, you're going to be able to pull any one of these buyers and sellers onto any one of your listings, onto any one of your deals. You're also going to be able to use a messaging module to message out to them via Wolf Connect, and also send them drip marketing campaigns. And we'll take a look at that later on in this session. Back up to the contacts area, we can take a look at business contacts. Here you're going to find a database with business contacts. You are able to contribute to this area by selecting Add Business Contact. And here you can start inputting their information, starting out in this grayed out area. So you can decide the category that this business contact falls under. You can change their status as you go. If this contact does not want to be called or does not want to be emailed, you can select either one of these options. And then you can start entering in their information. I'm going to call them Fake Title Company. Moving down, you can see you can enter in things like address, contact information, phone numbers, important dates, and addresses. If you save, you can then, all right, let's just enter in some mandatory information here. Once you save, then you're able to toggle through the various tabs in their profile. I can come down to family information, and I can add any contacts at that business there by selecting Add Entry and adding their information. I can add any follow-ups to this business contact by selecting Notes, and I can add an entry and I can enter in a follow-up. And that's just done by selecting the action that was taken, and I can select these options from the drop-down, and perhaps that action was taken today. I can enter in my follow-up note, and then I can enter in the action required. And I have all of these options in my drop-down. And then my follow-up date, I can then select, perhaps I need to follow up by Friday, and then I can save. If you've configured your settings correctly in Wigo, then you can receive reminders about any of these follow-ups you have. The next item that we have in the profile is drip marketing. You are able to send letters out to these business contacts by selecting Add Entry and adding them to a drip marketing campaign. And we'll take a look at this later on in this session. But if you wanted to add this particular company to the holidays letter, we can select OK, and now they're going to receive letters anytime there's a holiday. Back up to the contacts area, we also have this Do Not Call, and for more information, contact your administrator. Over to the marketing module, we have campaigns. If I select that, here you are able to send letters out to any one of your client contacts or out to your business contacts. We have a database full of letters for you if we go into the letters area. Here you're able to view any letters available to you, and you can also create letters as well, and that's done by selecting Add Entry. Going back up to the marketing area, you are able to send any of these letters out by going into the campaigns area. So if we come into the campaigns area, we have a list of campaigns available for you to use, but you could also add campaigns, and that's just done by selecting Add Entry. You can select or send letters on specific days or send it on a timeline. So we'll take a look at a timeline. We select Timeline and Continue. You can name your campaign. Perhaps this campaign is called First-Time Homebuyers. First-time buyer. Okay. Then you can decide which letter is going to be sent out in this campaign. In this list, you're going to see all of the available letters to you and any letters that you may have created. So we're going to select a fake letter here. And perhaps you want this to send out the day after the campaign start date. Perhaps you want another letter to follow up with that. Maybe you want an additional letter to go out 2 weeks after this letter. You can do that by selecting Add Letter, and then you can find it in your list here. And perhaps you want that to go out 14 days later after the campaign start date. If we save that, then we're going to be able to toggle over to the Contacts tab and decide who is going to receive these letters. So we can add a contact, and we're going to be able to search through our client contact and our business contact database. If I want letters to go out to both of these contacts, I can select them, use the arrow to put them into selected contacts box, and save. If I go back up to the contacts area, and perhaps I go back into business contacts, I can then take a look at the fake title company that I created. I can toggle down to the drip marketing campaign area, and I can now see that fake title company is receiving this particular campaign. I can turn it off if I'd like by turning it off with the toggle button, and I can also delete it altogether as a whole by throwing it into the trash can. If I navigate back up to the contacts area and take a look at my client contacts, I can go into this lead that I accepted. It's now a client contact, and I can see any drip marketing campaigns that they are associated with. I can turn them off and also delete them altogether as a whole. I can also toggle through the various tabs in the profile here. I can see the contact information that was inputted when the lead was assigned to me. I can add family information. So if there's a spouse or whatever it may be, I can add that information here. If I have any follow-ups with this client contact, I can add the entry, and I can add a follow-up. And I can also then see any activity. If I turn the logs button on, I'm going to be able to see all of the activity that has ever been taken. Back up to the navigation menu, I'm going to toggle over to the Communications tab. So there's quite a few modules in here. So we have messaging, news, events, a photo album, links, and vote on it. We're going to take a look at messaging first. So I mentioned that you are able to message out to one another within Wolf Connect, and that's done by creating a message. If you're creating a message, you can decide at the top if you want to message out to any agents or staff within the office, and you can select them from the list here. You can also message out to any business contacts. If I select business contact, you're not going to see a list of any of your business contacts. You would have to start typing them here. So I think we added fake title company. Okay, you can select them from the list, put them into the selected users box. You can also toggle over to client contacts, and you can message out to your client contacts. Again, you're not going to see them listed. You would have to search for them to show up here. If you wanted to search out to fake client, then you can select them. Use the arrow to put them into the selected users box, and you can message out to them. For training purposes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to message out to someone within the office, and I'm going to actually message out to myself. I'm going to select myself. I'm going to use the arrow to put myself into the recipients list. You can see as I add people to the recipient list, I'm able to see their in and out status. So I can see that fake agent is in the office, and if they have a note, I'm going to be able to see that note here. If I select it, I can see that information, and we're going to be out of the office from 1 to 4. Once you have selected the recipients, you are then able to move down and enter in a subject. So I'm just going to call this test subject. You can then decide if this message is of normal importance or if it's important. and then you can start entering in the body of your message. You can make it plain text, or you can use the HTML button, okay, and customize the text here. Once you have entered the body, then you can send the letter or the message by selecting send. If you like to spell check before you send, you have that ability, and you can also reset. You also have these additional options at the bottom. If you are attaching any items, you're able to attach up to 2 items from your computer. We're going to go ahead and we're going to send. If that person has their messages configured to be received, then they will receive a notification via email or text that they have a message via Wolf Connect. If I X out of the messaging, perhaps I have my messages set up to be received via text. I can view the message via text message, or I can log into Wolf Connect and I can go into the messaging module and I can manage my messages here under the Manage function. So here I'm able to see all of my messages. All right, so we can see we just had some of these messages sent out. I'm able to filter through by inbox, by start to end date, and I can also filter down by subject and words that are within the subject field. I can view the message by clicking on it. Okay, and I can view all that information. I can return to messages, I can reply to it, I can forward it, and also go on to my next one. If I would like to delete the message, I can delete it, move it to a saved folder, and I can also view or print it. Let's return to the messages. If you would like to create a new message from here, you're able to do that by selecting New Message. If you would like to see any of your sent messages, we can select Sent. Your outbox are your drafts, so any messages that were drafted but were not sent. Anything that has been sent to the saved folder you can view here, and then anything that has been sent to the trash can be viewed in the trash can. Going back up to the messaging module, we have the in and out board. Here you are able to see everyone's status in the office, and if they have a note associated with their profile, you're going to be able to view the notes. So I can select it, and it's going to pop up their status and any notes. Back up to the Communications tab, we're going to take a look at these remaining modules. These are social modules, and these are managed by administrators in the office. So if there are any news for the office, you're going to be able to see those news items by selecting Manage, and you can see a list of any news items. These news items will also appear on your home page in the widgets. We'll take a look at that. So you wouldn't necessarily need to come up to these areas because any news, any events, any photo albums, and any votes on it will appear in the widgets on the home page. What you are able to do, however, is navigate up to the links area, and you can create your own links that will be displayed in the links widget here. And that's just done by selecting user links. So you can add a link for yourself by selecting add link. Okay, perhaps we want to call it Inman News. Okay, we can enter in the Inman News URL. What I would probably do is just search for Inman News. And then you can copy and paste the URL. And then just put it in this area here. Okay, and select next. Okay, now if we go back to your home page, you're going to be able to see that link in the user links widget, and now you have quick access, and it's going to open up a tab for you. So you can create as many as you'd like for there. The last tab that we're going to take a look at together is the Real Estate tab. So quite a few modules in here. In here, we're going to find the Listings module, the Showings module, Transactions module, and the Loading Docs module. So if we take a look at Listings first, you have the ability to add listings. The majority of your listings will probably be entered in at the board, and those listings are going to sync down into Wolf Connect. But in the event that you have a private or an exclusive listing, we want to enter that into Wolf Connect so you can manage it. And that's done by selecting the Add button. When you're adding a listing, you're automatically brought into the Information tab. All of these other tabs will become available once we've saved at least the areas marked with an asterisk in the Information tab. So we'll start off in the Listing Information area. The first field we have is the internal listing number. The system will generate its own number. Unless you have a sequence of numbers that you go by, you can then enter that in here. We then have listing price. Let's create one. We're going to say that this listing price is $200,000. We can say when this was listed. You can then select the property type it falls under. If it has a sub-property type, you have these options in the drop-down. And then over to the right-hand side, you can change the status as you go. Moving down, we then have the address. So we can enter in the address. We'll say it's 444 Fake Street. When the document has been marked as complete. So this is on the listing side. And you're going to see kind of the separation of listing. Moving down, you are able to map out the location on a map by selecting Go. Okay, and you are also able to copy the coordinates. Over to the right-hand side, we have information like directions, and we also have remarks that you can add. Once that information is inputted, then you can save, and all of the other tabs will become available to you. So now we can toggle over to the People tab. This will automatically populate with your information. If there is a secondary agent on this listing, you can add them by selecting Add or Change Agents. Once you save the agent's information, we can then enter in information like seller information and tenant information. Let's just wait for a sec. Give it a chance to load. All right, the last one you see here is EDS transactions closed. So that is going to be the one that once you have saved the agent information, you'll be able to enter in seller information. You can manually enter in seller information here, or you can select Add Client Contact, and you can add any clients that were stored under Contact Management. So we had Fake Seller. Oh, actually it's like Fake Client, sorry. If I enter that information here and I save, then their information will populate. And you can also do that for tenant information as well. You can add the entry. We can now toggle over to the Details tab once we've entered in our agent information, seller's information, and potentially tenant information. In the Details tab, here we can enter in whatever details we would like. Let's just put a build year, say it's 2014. If you do add any information here, just ensure you come down to the very bottom of the page and we save that information. The next tab that we have is the Enhance tab. Scrolling down, you are able to add photos to any one of your listings, and you can add up to 100 photos. That's done by selecting the Add Photo button. You can upload the photo from your computer and give it a title and a description. If you'd like to add more, you would just select Add Another Photo. If you'd like to add any virtual tour links, you can do that by entering in the URL here and saving. The next tab we have in a listing is the Showing Setup tab. So Wolf Connect offers showings. So here we can set up things like instructions and availability. So starting at the top over to the left-hand side, you can decide if showings are allowed. It's defaulted to already be turned on, but if there are no showings, you can turn it off. If there's a lockbox or a key code, you can enter in those numbers here. If you know who the residence is occupied by, you can select them from the drop-down. And if there's a feature sheet, you can upload the feature sheet for others to print. Then we have showing instructions. Showing instructions will be something like no showings on Sundays. Perhaps no showings after 8 p.m. where you have instructions for the showing agent. So specific instructions like leave your card and perhaps don't let the cat out. We can then toggle over to the right-hand side and decide for this particular listing. Does the agent need a call before showing? And you can select that from the drop-down. Does the occupant need a call before showing? And you can select that option from the drop-down. You can decide to automatically confirm all showings created, okay? And then also decide if the listing agent needs to be called or needs to confirm in order to confirm the showing. Moving down, we can take a look at the showing schedule. So anything that is green means that it's available for showing. So under the showing instructions, we had said there's no showings on Sundays. We can turn Sundays off for no showings, and that's just done by selecting Sunday, and it turns it off. No showings can be booked. And we also said there's no showings after 8 p.m. So we can scroll down to 8 p.m., and we can turn off all showings after 8, just by selecting that time. You can also select them individually. Perhaps on Tuesdays it's okay to show the property up until 9. You can turn that on. If the seller needs a notification before showing, you can select how many hours before, perhaps 1 hour before. And then if there's any specific time exceptions, date and time exceptions, you can add them. Perhaps this seller is having a birthday party at their house and they don't want any showings that day, then we can select that date. So perhaps it's on Saturday, okay, and it's all day. So you would select something like 1 o'clock in the morning all the way up until midnight. And we could save that. There won't be any showings for that date. Moving down, we also have seller showing notifications. If you have added any client contacts onto the listing, then their information will populate down below, and we can decide that perhaps this seller wants to receive any notifications when there's a showing created, if there's a showing confirmed, if a showing has been canceled, if there's any feedback from the showing, and if there's anything changed on the showing. If you've added a tenant under the People tab, then you can also add notifications for a tenant here. And then we can save. The next tab we have in a listing is a showing activity. If there were any showings created, you would see them listed here. Next tab we have is the Open Houses tab. If you have any open houses that are up and coming for this particular listing, you can enter them in, and that's done by selecting Add Entry. You can decide whether or not it's a public or broker agent open house. You can decide on the date and the time, and then you can add any additional details down below and save. Not sure what happened with our settings here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate back over to the Listings module, and I'm going to manage my listings. And under the Manage area, I'm able to search for any one of my listings. Let's go back into 444 Fake Street. The last tab that we can take a look at is Documents and Tasks. I apologize. For more information on this area, please contact your administrator. Going over to the List tab is the same feature as going into the Manage function under Listings. So under Manage, you're going to be able to see all the listings for the office, whether they have been manually inputted because they're exclusive or private, or perhaps they are listings that are feeding in from the board, and you can view all of the details. You are also able to use the filter to search for any listings in your office. Back up to the listings module, we have the open houses feature. In the open houses feature, you are able to view any of the open houses that might be feeding in from the board for your office or any open houses that were created for any one of the listings in your office. Another nice feature for the agents in the listings module is the pie chart. In the pie chart, here you will find listing reports. In the drop-down, you'll find a handful of listing reports available to you. The next module we have under real estate is the showings module. Here, showings will be created for you. If there are any showings created and you have turned on your notifications in the messaging tab in your profile, you will receive notifications anytime there is a showing created, canceled, whatever it may be. If you would like to view all of the showings that you have for any one of your listings, you're able to do that by selecting View All. If you have any showings that were created that were not confirmed, then you can also view any unconfirmed showings. The last feature that we're going to take a look at is the transactions module. So in the transactions module, you are able to use this add button to electronically submit any one of your deals to the office. And that's done by selecting Add Transactions. And we're going to start out at the very top. If this transaction is coming from any one of your office's listings, then you can search for that listing using the search button. If it's not one of your office's listings, then you're going to need to manually enter in the information down below. Just for training purposes, I'm going to search for one of the office's listings, and we're going to use 444 Fake Street. And for the most part, it's populating all the information. So just take note to all the areas marked with an asterisk. If we take a look at classifications, we can select the classification. Perhaps it's listing side. We can select the property type. And then we can also enter in legal description, like lot information. Sell price will be populated. If you need to adjust that price, you're able to do so. We can enter in the offer date, the close date, and then you can decide whether it's a firm or conditional offer. We can then move down to commission information, and the agent's information will already populate. We can then select the agent's information, and it's already defaulted to the side. And then for side count, it's always one for each side, one for the listing side and one for the selling side. And then you can enter in your percentage or gross commission amount, and it's going to calculate either one vice versa. So let's just say it's $7,200. It's going to calculate the percentage of that. We then want to enter in the remaining information like seller's information, seller and buyer information, business contacts, and outside brokers and referrals, but we're not able to do that until we at least save the above information. So let's go ahead and save, and then those fields will become available to us. You are able to edit the above information, and you can also submit at this point. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter in the remaining information. So seller and buyer. Already populating with the fake clients that was associated with the listing, but if you would like to add something like a buyer, then you can add them. You can manually enter in their information, but if you had stored them in client contacts, then you're going to be able to select the contact type and then search your database. You can then also add business contacts, so you can add a business contact. You can select the contact type. You can select the side, and then you can search the database. If they do not appear in the database, then you're going to need to manually enter in the business contacts information. And again, just take note to the areas marked with asterisks when saving. And then lastly, we have outside brokers and referrals. So you can add someone like an outside broker or agent by selecting outside broker. It's already defaulted to the side. You can enter in their commission information, and then you can search the database. If they do not appear in the database, then you're going to need to populate at least the areas, again, marked with an asterisk before saving. Once all the information is populated needed for this particular deal, then we can go ahead and we can submit it to our administrators. You are able to revisit this deal at any time by going up into the Manage area of Transactions. And being able to view any one of your deals in the office. So you can search by statuses, and then you can select them here, and now you can see a record of any one of your deals. The last feature we're going to take a look at under Real Estate and in the Transactions module is found up in the pie chart. And here you're going to find a number of reports available to you, like your earning history, your transaction production, any expense statements, and also your agent annual expense summary. The very last feature we're going to take a look at in agent training is found under the question mark here, and that's online help. If there are any areas of Wolf Connect that you would like more information about, feel free to use the Help menu to view that information. You can view that by toggling through the various tabs of the navigation menu, like Real Estate. Perhaps you want more information about showings, then you can view all the information here. And you can also search by keyword. Perhaps I want to see more information about showings, then I can select the keyword, and it's going to give me all the information about showings here. You can also search the Help menu. Back to it. By viewing, you can also come into the Help menu and you can see any FAQs, so commonly asked questions, and then we also have some video tutorials. For any additional help with Wolf Connect, any questions or challenges you may be facing, please contact your administrator in your office. Last feature is this red logout button. I do recommend that you use a logout button if you're done with your session. That way anyone else that may be logging onto your computer is not going to be able to access your information. Again, for more information about Wolf Connect, please contact your administrator. Thank you for attending.